What's up, everyone? Sharaja Singh here again, founder and CEO of Six Figure Ad Funnels. In today's video, we are going to have a copywriting masterclass. So buckle up, this is going to be a good one. Take a lot of notes. If you do anything online involving words that are written, be it digitally or on paper, this is going to help a lot. If you make Facebook posts, Instagram posts, reels, captions on any of your social media posts, YouTube videos, tweets, emails, sales letters, ads, funnels, you get the point. Like, this is extremely important if you do literally anything online that involves talking to people. So, what is copywriting, right? It's not about copying people's writing, that's for sure. But what it is about is it's about crafting believable messages that persuade people to take a certain action. And most of you probably already know this because you're business owners like me. But if you didn't know it, copywriting is how you close people, basically, how you sell them in print. Copywriting is closing in print. It's the art of taking sales, closing, selling, and you do it through the written word or the spoken word if you know how it works and you know how to use your words. Copywriting is basically how you use words to influence people and persuade them to take action. Now, a lot of people think they know how copywriting works, but they don't. I'm gonna give you a foolproof structure that you can use in any piece of copy you write. I learned this personally from one of Agora Financial's top copywriters and one of my mentors, Jason Capital at the time. Brilliant stuff. I mean, Jason has sold like $70 million online, all of it through copywriting. He got so good at copywriting, he was closing people for like 3K coaching programs in the DMs, like no sales calls, just DMs. That's copy as well. So this is a really, really good structure. In fact, when he sold the program that was teaching people this, he called this the Agora Copy Engine. What a unique mechanism, right? Basically, instead of just sitting down and writing copy like, oh, I had this idea, let me write it down. Before you ever start writing, you do these 5 things, right? So this is a 6-step process of how to write copy. We'll just briefly go through it, right? First you research, then you get your big idea, then you create your offer, then your headline, then you do the copyboarding, and then you write the first draft. So before you ever sit down and like write the actual first draft of the copy, you make sure that all 5 of these components are taken care of. Because if you don't, then your copy is just not gonna be as good as it honestly could be. Like, this is the difference between a copy that converts $2 million and a copy that converts $20,000, maybe $200,000. Because the structure of it is so much better. I mean, we all write words, we all read words, but the thing is, copy is not written. Copy is assembled. You're basically engineering a reality that someone is going to live in mentally, temporarily, in the present moment when they read your stuff. So the structure of your copy is very, very, very important. You don't want to just sit down and just write stuff, right? I mean, jot stuff down so you can get like raw materials for your big idea, but don't just sit down and just write stuff, right? Like, think about all of this. So let's go through this one at a time. And by the way, this is me condensing like an 8-week coaching program in which I learned all of this. I'm condensing this down into like an hour or less. So make sure you absorb all this. Watch this video again if you need to. But first component is research. Now, 80% of the copy is written here in the research phase, right? You can't just BS your way through copywriting. People will smell it, sniff it out immediately. You need to have actual tangible like data that you're using to create your copy. So research is very important. You need to know exactly what's going on inside of your prospect's mind. Like, you should be able to like look in their head and see exactly what's going on inside their brain. Don't just guess. Be thorough with this. Be a sales detective. You want to make sure that you understand your prospect better than they even know themselves, and you can verbalize their inner dialogue to them in your copy better than they even know how to think it. That way, when they read it, they feel like they're just looking at a mirror that's reflecting their internal world back to them, except it's clearer than their mind is even aware. So how do you do this, right? How do you gather all this? Be creative with this. Be a legitimate detective and find the information you need. Places you can look are like Quora. Quora is a really good place. Facebook groups, Reddit forums, Amazon reviews, YouTube videos, blogs. You can look at other people's content. Maybe your audience is already in some kind of a program. You can go join it, find out what people are saying there. You can talk to your audience directly, past clients, if you've worked with people in the audience. Like, whoever your prospect is, do everything you can to get to know like very, very intimately what goes on inside their head. Like everything you wouldn't do with a girl because it would be weird and stalkerish to like find out all of that. You want to do all of that with your prospect to find out exactly what goes on in their head. Because the better you know them, the better you can influence them. So what exactly are you looking for when you do research? Well, one, you're looking for proof. Proof is your God. You cannot just make claims and promises and expect people to believe them. If you say something, you have to prove it. Now, the best proof is emotional, not logical. Like, if I want to say vaccines cause autism, for example, I need to be able to prove that. No one's just going to believe me. Hey, did you know vaccines cause autism? No one gives a shit. It's like, prove it. Oh, yeah? How do you know? Oh, look at this Harvard study that vaccines cause autism. That's one form of proof, right? You can have an academic study. But the thing is, most people don't really care about academic studies, me included. I'm intelligent, I have an academic background, I don't care about academic studies. I'm sure most people that don't have my background also don't care about academic studies. Now those work sometimes, but the best proof is emotional. So following that example, if I want to prove that vaccines cause autism, I could get a study by a professor going through all this scientific data that no one's going to read, or I could find an image of an autistic kid with a vaccine in his arm, and that's just going to prove my point better than an academic study. Like, especially in copywriting, direct response, you want to have emotional proof. So if I want to say vaccines cause autism, and I have a photo of a very clearly autistic kid getting a vaccine, even though it's stupid and it doesn't make any sense, it's going to prove the point better than like a Harvard study. You have to test, obviously. Like, this is different each one. If I want to prove, if I want to prove global warming isn't real, right? I don't believe that. But let's just say global warming isn't real, and I want to prove that. I have to find proof of what I say. Now, in this case, maybe scientific data works. Maybe, depending on who you're talking to, a lot of Trump quotes would work. You need to understand what does your prospect resonate with, and you need to find things to prove to them. So you want to find proof. There's a lot of different kinds of proof. There's academic studies, there's emotional proof, there's customer reviews. Like if you want to prove, let's say business coaches are a scam, and you want to find proof of that. Obviously you're not going to use their testimonials as proof, because that proves the opposite of what you're thinking. What you're going to do is you're going to go find a bunch of one-star reviews of a bunch of unhappy clients. Maybe you go on Reddit fake guru r/fake guru subreddit, find the guy's name, and just collect a bunch of negative reviews about his coaching program, and now you're proving, hey, business coaches are a scam. Look at all 4 of these business coaches, all of their unhappy clients that all say that they're a scam. Now my point is proved, right? Proof is emotional. It doesn't necessarily have to be logically, factually correct. It just needs to feel right. And the prospect needs to feel like it's believable. Like if you're talking to a Trump supporter, like if your prospect is a Trump supporter, they're like ultra conservative and they support Trump, and you want to prove the point that global warming isn't real, literally Trump quotes are proof, and they would value that more than an academic study. Now, if you're talking to a college professor, maybe an academic study would work better, right? You get the point. Proof is your God. You need to have as much proof as you possibly can. There's emotional proof, there's logical proof. Proof can come in all forms. It can be in images, it can be in quotes, it can be in charts, it can be in graphs, academic studies, it can be in memes. Literally, like, be creative with this. How can you prove your point? If I want to say that wearing a white shirt makes you look rich, now I can find a bunch of photos of rich people wearing white shirts, and I can find a photo of a bunch of poor people wearing black shirts, and that proves my point, right? Get creative with the proof. Next thing you want to do is you want to find problems. Problems and villains. Like if you can create a solid villain in your marketing, in your copy, it's going to catch a lot of attention, because problems catch more attention than promises. If I want to prove global warming isn't real, right? 2 ways I could do it. I could make a promise. Scientists have finally discovered that the ice caps are melting, right? Scientists have found a way to prove that there's a hole in the ozone layer. That's like a promise. But if I have a villain, it's like the government has been hiding the truth from us because they want us to pay extra taxes. They know that if we find out global warming isn't real, we're not going to pay them taxes. So they've been hiding the fact that global warming is real from us in order to take our money and make us more dependent on them. Now that's a solid villain. That catches your attention more than scientists have found out a way to prove the ice caps are melting. Versus the ice caps have been melting for 40 years and the government has been hiding it from us because they want us to pay them more taxes. Catches your attention more because now the government is a villain. And it's not a promise, it's a problem, right? After that, you also want to find promises because you don't want to just have super negative villain marketing. You need to have contrast. So I could take the two together. So we have the villains that are the government. Government has been hiding global warming from you so you could pay them extra taxes and they could take your money. But now we found a way to actually get the government to use that tax money to pay scientists to find a way to solve global warming. So now I've taken a problem and a promise and I've combined the two together, right? You need to find all of this in your research. Don't just make this up. Like I'm making this up right now to give you examples. But when you actually write copy, find solid proof, problems, and promises that you can swipe and that you can model. Next thing you want to find is stories. Stories are really important because if you have a really good, emotionally compelling story, that's going to persuade people so much better than just a bunch of facts and some proof. Facts and proof work well, but they work even better if they're weaved into a story. I'm going to give you a solid storytelling formula down in the headline and lead. We'll get to that in another minute. We also want to find mechanisms. What's a mechanism? It is the thing that actually makes the entire product work. Like, if I want to say business coaches are a scam and the only way that you can actually make money is if you learn how to write copy. What's the mechanism? Copywriting is now the mechanism. What's the problem? Business coaches are a scam. What's the promise? If you learn copy, you'll make a bunch of money. What's the story? I could have this whole story about how I went in this business coaching program and he didn't teach anybody copywriting, except everything we had to do was copywriting. And the fact that he didn't teach us copywriting, but we were in a position where we had to do copywriting in order to make any money, just wasted everybody's time. So I felt like I got scammed because he sold me something that was supposed to work, but he didn't actually give me the tools that I needed to make it work. And then I felt scammed, but then I found this other guy and he taught me copywriting. And after I learned copywriting, I made a bunch of money because I actually put my old business coach out of business. I exposed him as a scam. He's broke. All his clients came to work for me. And now I'm super rich because I learned copywriting. And you get the point, right? And now the mechanism is copywriting. And what's the proof? I can just take a bunch of testimonials, show it. I can show how the business coach is now broke, how he used to be super big. I can show all the fake guru subreddit threads. Just created this out of nothing. But this is what you want to look for when you are actually researching. Now, another thing is you want to build a swipe file. A swipe file is basically just a collection of copy. So you want to research as many similar promos. Find promos similar to the one you were writing. You want to find as many of those as possible. And also you want to find a bunch of just good pieces of copy. Even if it's not similar to yours, but it's really, really, really good. It's converted a lot of money. You know for a fact that it is solid copy. Swipe it, learn from it, study it, break it down into its assembled parts. Find out what proof do they use, what problems, what promises, what stories, what mechanism. What audience are they targeting? What keywords are they using? Because you want to use the words that the audience uses to describe the problem. If everyone thinks business coaches are a scam, but no one says business coaches are a scam, they don't say business coaches are a scam. If people just say business coaches overpromise and underdeliver, and what they mean is business coaches are a scam, don't say business coaches are a scam, say business coaches overpromise and underdeliver, because that will resonate with the audience more, right? You also want to find out what is their heaven, what is their hell. So just because it's fresh in my mind, business coaches, right? The type of client looking for a business coach. Their hell is that they don't make enough money and they don't feel free and they have to work some kind of terrible job that they don't like a 9-to-5 where they're a corporate slave. Their heaven is that they're free, they own their own business, they make a bunch of money, they don't ever have to actually work, life is just fun, right? We can use the hell and the heaven against them when we're influencing them here in the copyboarding section. So basically, you want to really, really understand, because later on when you have to handle objections in the copy, you want to be able to use that against them. Well, if you want to have a freedom business, you want to have a business that makes you a lot of money and you're free and you don't want to go back and work a 9-to-5, then you need to buy this product. Because if you don't buy this product, you'll never have a business, you'll never make a bunch of money, you'll never be free, you'll stay stuck as a corporate slave at your shitty 9-to-5 job and blah, 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 blah. You can use all of that in the copy, right? Research is super important. Do not neglect this. This is 80% of the copywriting. And build a swipe file of good copy. Don't just try to create this out of your imagination. Imagination is important, but it's not how you write copy, right? Next, we have the big idea. Now, this is the second most important part because this is literally the golden thread that runs through your entire copy. It is basically the main thing you are trying to persuade them of. Like, for example, if my big idea is like business coaches suck and there's better ways to make money, right? Like, that's one way to do it. Like, let's say this. If I'm going to make a big idea, fact, business coaches business coaches use you to make money. Business coaches get rich by selling you their business coaching program. That's a fact. That's how they make money. Central thesis. Instead of paying a business coach money and learning how to do cold outreach, pay a copywriter money and have him set you up an ad funnel so that you get paid and you don't really need to do that much work. Mechanism, copywriter, right? So let's go over this. CT plus M is central thesis plus mechanism. So central thesis, this is the main message that the idea conveys. So if the big idea is business coaches suck and spending money on a copywriter is a better use of your time and money, that's the big idea I want to convey, right? Central thesis, big idea suck. Business coaches suck and copywriters are better. Mechanism, what makes the central thesis true? Copywriting. Business coaches don't teach you copywriting, copywriters write your copy for you. Simple. That's a pretty powerful big idea, right? Everybody's spending like 5 to 10 grand on business coaches. If you spend that on a copywriter instead, copywriter does all the work for you, you get all the money back that you spent and you don't have to do all this cold outreach, organic marketing BS, right? That's the big idea. Fact, business coaches make money by selling you organic marketing. Central thesis, instead of spending money on a business coach and spending 8 months trying to get an ROI, spend money on a copywriter and spend 8 weeks getting an ROI. Mechanism, copywriter / copywriting. Rough big idea, but you get the point, right? So big idea is a central thesis and a mechanism together, but when you pair it with a fact, it's just so much more powerful. If I just say business coaches suck and copywriters are great, and mechanism is copywriting, I mean, it kind of works, but if I have the fact, business coaches make money by selling you their programs, that's a fact, that's true, that's literally true. You can look at the whole coaching industry and you see that. Central thesis, instead of paying a business coach in order to get a golden handcuff, pay a copywriter in order to get a golden key. Mechanism, copywriting. And now you can turn that into a big idea. Business coaches are just using you to get rich. You should use your money instead to get a copywriter to make you rich. That hits, right? Another example, if I want to make a big idea about whiteboards, like, let's say for example, like fact, giving presentations on whiteboards looks professional. Central thesis, if you give presentations on whiteboards, you look like a professional boss. Mechanism, I'll just create this vintage whiteboard, boss whiteboard exclusive, like whatever, like whiteboards, right? Mechanism is whiteboard. So fact, giving presentations on whiteboards make you look professional. Central thesis, if you give presentations on whiteboards, you will become a boss. Literally. Let's just go with that. I'm gonna improvise copy based off of this big idea for the rest of this video. Let's see where it goes. So fact, giving presentations on a whiteboard looks professional. Central thesis, if you use whiteboards correctly, you will become a legitimate boss. Mechanism, whiteboards, right? Now let's get to the offer. So the offer is not the product. So off this whiteboard example, if the product is literally just like a physical whiteboard, what is the offer? What am I actually offering people? Because I'm not offering people a whiteboard. The whiteboard is the product. That's the medium through which the offer is like given to whoever buys. But what am I actually offering? More so the status, emotions, and beliefs where the product happens to be the medium of delivery. So with this big idea about whiteboards, it's like what I'm offering, I'm not offering a whiteboard. I'm offering the feeling of being a legitimate boss, right? So if I'm like, using a whiteboard will turn you into a legitimate boss, people will respect you more, you'll get a promotion at work, you'll get a bigger audience on your social media, people will just generally see you as the authority. Like that's what I'm offering people. I'm offering them the position of authority, more money, respect, higher status, more confidence, being a boss. That's what I'm actually offering them, right? The whiteboard just happens to be the product. So also, if you're writing like a sales letter, this is the part where you add an upsell. So if you ever bought an info product online, like we're giving away our 8-figure secrets, learn everything we use to scale to $50 million, all for $27. Like, like that. Oh wow, I'm gonna get the key to an 8-figure empire for $27 on this low ticket product, right? And then you buy it, and then there's like, wait, your order is not complete. Here's a sales letter. Buy this extra thing for $197. Buy it. Wait, your order's not complete. Buy this extra thing for $57. Buy it. Wait, your order's not complete. Buy this third thing for $97. You get the point, right? Like upsell pages. That's what happens in your offer. Like you also add in like the funnel. So if you're not selling an info product, then this part isn't necessarily super necessary. But if you're selling like a low ticket info product, you also want to make sure that you create an offer for all these things. So let's say I'm selling whiteboards online, right? I have a sales letter, buy this whiteboard, right? Big idea is just having this whiteboard is going to make you a more professional, higher status, more respected, better paid, more authoritative boss of a human being. And you won't feel like such a chump anymore because you're not just like typing stuff on your computer. Let's say that I'm marketing this to beginner entrepreneurs, right? Now that's a solid idea, and that's what I'm offering them. If they decide to buy the whiteboard, I can add in upsells for like markers. Now, in order to like, hey, wait, your order is not complete. You have the whiteboard, but you also need professional boss markers. Don't just go to Walmart and buy the typical expo markers because they're gonna make you look like an amateur. If you wanna be a professional, you need professional boss markers, like Hugo Boss branded whiteboard markers, because these are gonna make you look way better. Because if you have a vintage whiteboard and you have Hugo Boss branded expo markers, one, your whiteboard looks better because now it's actually being written on by a boss with a boss's writing utensils. Second, people will notice the Hugo Boss brand on your expo marker. Third, everybody's going to be jealous because they're still using expo markers and you're using Hugo Boss. That way when your boss at work tries to tell you, hey, you need to do this, you can just pull out your Hugo Boss whiteboard marker and say, who has the more boss marker? And since you do, you're gonna get a promotion at work. Your boss's boss is gonna demote him and promote you, and now you're the boss and your boss is your worker. I completely just made that up, but you kind of see how that adds a bit of emotional impulse to kind of persuade someone, hey, maybe in addition to the whiteboard, I should also get a whiteboard marker. Because one, I'm gonna need it to write on the whiteboard. Second, it's not just a marker, it's a Hugo Boss marker. This is a boss marker. It's not a stupid expo marker. It's the marker of bosses. And because I'm a boss and I'm using the whiteboard to become even more of a boss, I might as well make sure that I get the full package and I get the boss writing utensil that bosses use. So when my boss tries to tell me to do something, I'd be like, I'm the boss, you're the employee, you do it instead. Like, copyright people's brains, right? And you can add another upsell too for an eraser, kind of following the same thing. Wait, your order is not complete. You need the boss eraser, so on and so forth, right? I know these are rough examples, but this is really just to kind of convey the idea of how this all works. So let's get on to headline and lead. So the headline is arguably one of the most important parts of the entire promo, because if your headline sucks, nobody's gonna read your promo. I promise you. If your headline sucks, no one's gonna read the promo. Following the whiteboard example, let's create a terrible headline, for example. How to look more professional with a whiteboard. Terrible headline. That was so bad. Horrible headline, yeah. If your headline is like boring and uninteresting like that, how to look more professional with whiteboards. That's something you'd read on like a BuzzFeed article or something. Now, if I want to think of an interesting headline, my boss tried to fire me until his boss saw me with this, and then I got a promotion. That's a little bit more interesting, right? Now it's like, wait, what? Hold on. And then you kind of start seeding the idea of like having this whiteboard. Let's think of another headline, because the point of the headline is literally just to grab people's attention and then get them to read the second line. And the purpose of the second line is to get them to read the third line. And the purpose of the third line is to get them to read the fourth line. Like the entire lead, which is like the first 3 to 5 pages of your entire promo, the whole purpose of the lead is literally just to get their attention, hook their attention, immerse them, create massive curiosity, and establish major credibility so that you are somebody worth listening to, and it's not like, oh, who is this guy trying to sell me? But it's like, oh, wait, I'm talking to Mr. Sharaja Singh, the king of scaling, the boss of the entire business coaching industry. Wow, he took the time to talk to me? Like, you want to position yourself this way, not just, who's this Shah guy? I'm not going to read this, right? Like, you need to establish credibility. Where did I put it? Yeah, establish credibility so people listen to you. Are people going to listen to Donald Trump, or are they just going to listen to like Donald Nelson? Who is Donald Nelson? I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. That's why no one's listening to him. Donald Trump, however, got the entire world's attention. You need to create massive curiosity and get attention. You need to hook their attention. Now, headline for this, right? Here's the thing. You need to introduce a hook, and a hook is an incongruous juxtaposition of two or more seemingly unrelated ideas. I'll say that again. An incongruous juxtaposition of two or more seemingly unrelated ideas. For example, in a hook that I'm using in one of my VSLs, my headline was proved. The less you work on your business, the faster it grows. Now, that doesn't really make much sense, does it? Wait, what? You're saying the less I work on my business, the faster it grows? I would think the more I worked on my business, the faster it grows. Yeah, that's kind of the point, because it makes your brain be like, what? That doesn't make any sense, but it makes you curious as well. Like, wait, I could work less and grow faster? It makes you just, gets your attention. So let's see how we can do this with a whiteboard. The secret that your school teachers tried to hide from you, but your boss hopes you never find out. That's interesting, right? The secret that your school teacher tried to hide from you and your boss hopes you never find out. Hint, has something to do with whiteboards. You could include this in the headline. I'm making this up, but that's a little bit more interesting than how to look professional with a whiteboard. Versus, the secret your school teachers never told you and your boss hopes you never find out. Hint, it's related to whiteboards. That's gonna catch your attention at the very least. Now, what you do beyond that, whether you hook the attention or not, that depends on how you structure the lead. But the headline at least caught your attention, right? It's slightly interesting. What do school teachers and bosses have to do with each other? Other than the fact that school conditions you to be a good employee so you can serve your boss. Not gonna get into that. But here's the thing about your lead, right? No one has to read what you write. You need to be ultra dialed into what's in it for me. So if you're writing to corporate business professionals, people that work in corporate America and they work a 9 to 5 and they make a decent salary, 80 to 120K a year, and they're very much in the corporate world and everybody's giving PowerPoint presentations all the time, and that's your avatar. It's Fred, he's 45, he hasn't had a very happy marriage, it's just a marriage of convenience. He's not super happy, he tries to find fulfillment through work, but he's very bored, and he has to give a lot of presentations all the time, and he always makes PowerPoints, and he's trying to find out, how can I stand out, how can I make my presentations better? Whiteboard, right? Now we're going to get his attention. The secret your school teachers never told you and your boss secretly hopes you never find out. Hint, it has something to do with presentations instead of whiteboard. And it's well, what does it have to do with presentations? Now we created an open loop, right? Created an open loop, which is basically, what is an open loop? An open loop is basically just incomplete information, info gaps. Hint, it has something to do with presentations. What does it have to do with presentations? Oh, read further and you'll find out, right? Makes your brain itch and it creates curiosity. So now Fred, the 45-year-old corporate professional whose entire life revolves around business presentations, now he's curious. My teachers never taught me this and my boss hopes I never find out, and it has something to do with presentations. What is it? I wonder. I'm curious. Have his attention, right? And now you can start planting the idea of whiteboards make you look professional, and if you give presentations with whiteboards instead of PowerPoints, you're gonna be more respected, make more money, you'll be more authoritative, your boss will start working for you, you'll become the vice president of the company, so on and so forth. How do you do it? Hugo Boss whiteboards. We can literally just slap a Hugo Boss logo on the whiteboard. Hugo Boss branded whiteboards, plus Hugo Boss Expo markers. Now, as you go through the offer and the headline, your big idea will start to change a little bit, as you probably noticed with this one that I just created. It morphed a little bit over the last 10-15 minutes, because as you write your offer and your headline, your big idea is going to take shape more, because what is the big idea? It is the main message that the entire copy conveys. So as you write more of the copy, the idea will naturally expand. So now it went from just whiteboards make you look professional to Hugo Boss branded whiteboards to be better at business. That's more powerful than just whiteboards make you look professional, right? So you want to plant wonderful. You want to plant as many open loops as possible in the lead, because the lead is where you have, that is the biggest battle for their attention. If they don't read past the lead, they're gone, you're never getting them back, you failed, you lost. Mission not accomplished, right? So the first 3 to 5 pages, if it's a VSL, the first 5 to 10 slides, has to completely 111,000% Be ultra focused on like what's in it for me. Me being the prospect. What is in it for the prospect? Why should they keep reading? You have to literally remind them every single line why they need to keep reading. Hint, it has something to do with presentations. Now, you obviously give a lot of presentations, and by the end of this, and in just a moment, I'm going to reveal the best way to give presentations so your boss is jealous of you. And if you're tired of feeling like this about your presentation, keep reading to find out what the secret is, so on and so forth. Each line sells the next line, and by the time they get through the first 5 pages, their attention is hooked. It's like a greased slide. Like there shouldn't be any friction. It's like read one line, sells the next, read one line, sells the next, read one line, sells the next. And if there's any point of incongruence, you've lost their attention. And if you lose their attention, they're gone. So the lead is very, very important. You want to set the chair on fire, basically. Like the prospect is sitting in a chair and they're very, very comfortable in the chair. And the only way that they're going to move to the other place that you want them to go is if the chair that they're sitting on, you literally set it on fire and they can't keep sitting on it, because if they do, they're going to burn themselves because the chair is on fire. Otherwise, they're not going to move. So you need to create massive curiosity, establish credibility. Hi, my name's Sharaja, CEO of Hugo Boss, and I'm going to tell you the #1 secret that helped me give better presentations and take over this company. And now I'm literally the boss of the boss company, and I can help you too. Oh, now I want to listen to this guy. Now, I used to give a lot of presentations in my business career. I used to have a wife that I didn't really like, but after I figured out how to give these wonderful presentations, I got promoted. My boss started working for me. I divorced my wife. I did not lose anything in the divorce. Now I have a beautiful, hot, young girlfriend, and she's exactly what I wanted. Plus, I'm ultra rich, and you get the point, right? You're literally creating the guy's heaven, and you're also calling out his hell in the lead. It's like, I used to be in your hell, now I'm living in your heaven, I have all this credibility, and I'm going to show you in just a moment exactly what I did to get me there, how I got from heaven, or how I went from hell and got to heaven. I just did this one simple thing that you could do right now too, and in just a moment I'm going to show you exactly what that is, right? You just keep creating open loops. In just a moment, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you exactly what your teachers didn't teach you. My boss also didn't want me to find this out, but then when I did, he started working for me. Now I have all this money and my wife is hotter than his, blah, 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 right? All of this. You want to just plant this in the lead. You want to use their hell and just set the chair on fire by showing them like, hey, you can have it so much better. Your life sucks right now. And there's this one little thing. All you need is this one thing, this tiny thing. You just one instant magic pill. You just take it and everything is better. Now, obviously, you don't want to be like markety and salesy and just be like, oh, just take this one thing. But you want to imply this. You want to sub-communicate this. This one secret to presentations immediately made my life better. I used to do presentations on PowerPoint, but after I found out this one secret, my boss started working for me. I got a promotion. 2 years later, I'm making $10 million a year, where before I only used to make 100K, and I'm still amazed that this secret even worked. Now, what is the secret, you might ask? Great question, and I'm gonna tell you right now. It's Hugo Boss whiteboards. Now, what does whiteboards have to do with presentations? I'll tell you first, and then you just go, more open loops. You just keep creating more and more open loops. So you give them one piece at a time. You don't just give away the whole big idea immediately. Oh, if you use Hugo Boss whiteboards and you do presentations like this and you do it this way, this way, this way, everything is going to become better. You take it one piece at a time. I used to do this and then I did this. I used to do this and then I did this. What's the secret? Great question. I'll tell you in just a moment. Because I used to be where you are. I used to have this hell. And after I did this one thing that I'm going to tell you in just a moment, I went to the heaven, and now life is great. The grass is greener, the girls are hotter, the money is richer, it flows faster, and I'm so grateful that I did this one little thing that I'm about to tell you in just a second, and I escaped the hell that you're currently living in because it sucked and I didn't like it. And because I did the thing that I'm about to tell you in just a moment, you see what I'm doing there, right? Just keep reseeding the info gap, keep reseeding the open loop. So people in their brain are like, all right, just tell me what it is already. But they keep reading because their brain is hooked, you have their attention. Now, you got the lead, you got the offer, you got the big idea, you got the research. Now what you need to do is you need to pre-handle their objections. So after you assemble the lead, there's going to be a part where you demonstrate the mechanism and you kind of go into the whole pitch about like Hugo Boss branded whiteboards, way better than a PowerPoint. You look like a boss, more authority, more credibility. Here's how it works. Let me show you. We tested this on our employees. All the employees that did this, they got promoted in 2 months, blah, blah, blah. Demonstrate the mechanism, right? With proof, of course. Don't just make it up. But then you want to pre-handle their objections, because even after demonstrating it, people are going to be like, can I really get a promotion just by writing on a whiteboard? Isn't that a little too good to be true? Is this really Hugo Boss branded? Aren't you just trying to sell me something? Right? People are going to have these objections. So, OCPB sequence, right? You want to use this. Now, what is this? OCPB means objection, claim, proof, benefit. So you want to call out the objection, you want to make a claim, you want to prove the claim, and then you want to tell people what benefit they're going to get for believing the claim that you just made. So in this example, objection. Is writing on a whiteboard really going to give me a promotion at work? So you call it out. Now you might be thinking, quote, is writing on a whiteboard really going to get me promoted at work? End quote. Claim. It has been statistically proven that people that give presentations on whiteboard look more professional, look more authoritative, look more intelligent, and are more respected than people that just give presentations on PowerPoint. What's your proof? You take a photo of somebody giving some stupid presentation on a PowerPoint that looks like a dweeb, and then a photo of somebody that looks really, really boss giving a presentation on a whiteboard, put the two side by side, and then kind of just make a comparison. It's like, this guy obviously looks more professional. And then you can also take like an academic study, since you said statistic, and show like how people perceive whiteboard presentations as compared to PowerPoints, and obviously find something that's biased in favor of whiteboards, and then use that. Now you've proven your claim. Benefit. If you start giving presentations on whiteboards instead of PowerPoints, you will be the only one in your firm that actually does it, and everyone's going to notice, and you're naturally going to be perceived as more authoritative, which will impress the higher ups that actually own your boss, and they will give you a promotion so you don't have to work for your boss anymore. Now that's a benefit. Fred, the corporate professional, is really going to like that. He's going to pay attention to it, and he's going to believe the claim, right? Same thing with the Hugo Boss branded whiteboard. Now you might be asking, is this really a Hugo Boss branded whiteboard? Find the picture of like the Hugo Boss guy, kind of like 5-star Photoshop a quote. I used to do presentations virtually, but then after I shifted to using whiteboards, our company's revenue doubled, increased, and then create like an infographic of revenue going up. Benefits. If you use Hugo Boss whiteboards, you're gonna look way more professional than if you just use whatever school branded whiteboard there is. If you use like Easy Apple whiteboards, Hugo Boss whiteboards look more professional than Easy Apple whiteboards. Find a statistic, prove it, create a benefit, make them believe it, right? If you create a claim and prove the claim and give them a believable benefit that is related to their heaven, right? Relate the benefit to their heaven, they will believe it. Make a claim, prove it to be true, give them a benefit that's related to their heaven, they'll believe it. Objection handed, right? You want to pre-handle all the objections before you actually get to the close. And the close is basically the call to action. Buy now, place your order, book a call, whatever it is, right? So the close in this case would be like, submit your order for the whiteboard, just 2 payments of $197 or 1 payment of $297. Shipping is free, right? Plus we'll throw in these bonuses. We'll give you all the things you need to install the whiteboard. We'll give you 3 Hugo Boss branded whiteboard markers for free, just because you're awesome. Give them some free bonuses. But then in the close, you don't want to be salesy about it, right? You want to be very empathetic and caring. Closing is caring. Where did I write this? Closing is caring. This is something I learned from Craig Clemens, CEO of Golden Hippo. Generates also like over $1 billion a year just in copywriting, right? The difference between closing Jack from Walmart, the guy that you're just trying to sell something to, versus closing your son. If you're trying to sell a whiteboard to Jack from Walmart, hey Jack, let me tell you about this whiteboard. So great, you're gonna look awesome, you'll get a promotion at work. Jack doesn't need a whiteboard, he works at Walmart, he's not a corporate professional. Versus your son, you've been working at ExxonMobil for 4 years and you still haven't gotten a promotion. And I'm honestly so sick and tired of seeing your boss treat you like shit. I know that you feel annoyed by it. I know you deserve better. I know your boss is an asshole and you don't like him and you want to be better. And son, you deserve better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you this whiteboard and I'm going to show you exactly how you could use it to make your boss work for you. Because honestly, you deserve better. You work harder than your boss. And like, man, you need this. Like, you've been working so hard. You deserve this. You're going to do it a little differently. Like, you're gonna close your son harder than you would Jack from Walmart, and you're also gonna do it with more care and more empathy. You're gonna relate it to what's in it for him. Son, you've been working hard. I know your boss sucks. You deserve better. You've been trying, like you've earned this. You deserve it. I wanna help you. Versus Jack, bro, buy this whiteboard, man. It's so good. This whiteboard's awesome. You can look for, like, you're gonna relate it more to them. Closing is caring. The more you care about your prospects, the better you will sell them, because you'll be more authoritative and you'll sell harder without actually trying to hard sell them. You'll just naturally have more just oomph, more influence and more power. All right. Also, you want to ethically manipulate people's emotions hardcore, because here's the thing. Influence is what you're doing. Like when you're selling people, when you're marketing to them, you are influencing them. Manipulation, the literal definition of manipulation, is simply just the skillful handling of someone or something. That's it. It's not good, it's not bad, it just is. When I'm using this marker, I'm manipulating this marker. When I'm using this whiteboard, I'm manipulating this whiteboard. When I'm using this ring light, I'm manipulating this ring light. When I'm filming myself on this camera, I'm manipulating the phone that has this camera. When you're using your laptop, you're manipulating your laptop. You're just skillfully handling it, right? That's why I say ethically, obviously, don't be unethical about it, but you want to ethically manipulate people's emotions, because people will only buy and take action if they're emotionally compelled to do so. If you're not emotionally compelling them, no matter how good your product is, no one's gonna buy it. Tesla arguably has one of the best products around, and a lot of people didn't buy until they were emotionally compelled to do so. That's why their stock price shot up in the last year or two, and for a while they were struggling for like 5 to 10 years, right? Because there was no emotional compulsion, and now everybody's like, oh my God, we have to save the environment. Oh my God, gas prices are so ridiculous, and I will feel like I'm saving so much money if I have a Tesla and I don't pay for gas. Right? Now they're making a lot more sales. Just example. Like basically what you want to do is you want to create so much curiosity to the point that you can actually influence people to feel gullible enough to just buy whatever it is you sell them. Right? Now this applies more to like less sophisticated audience, like gullibility. That's more to like info product stuff. If you're targeting a sophisticated audience, like business owners, like I'm targeting, then you don't try to make them gullible. Just create enough curiosity and influence their emotions enough to the point where they want to listen to what you have to say. Like that would focus more on like problems, promises, villains, hell and heaven, things like that. But the more curiosity you create, the more you can influence them, the more you can put them in basically like, for the most part, and this is what I learned, right? I didn't make this up. The more you can put them in a gullible state of mind, the easier they are to influence, because if they're gullible, they'll just easily believe whatever you tell them. And if they believe whatever you tell them, they'll likely be influenced very, very easily, and they'll buy whatever you're selling, right? And if you're using this for like Instagram posts or Facebook posts or just like organic marketing content, you can use this to whatever your call to action is. Comment down below, send me a DM, swipe up. Same concept applies. You just make them curious enough to the point where they do the call to action. Or if you're trying to get them to do something more, like see if you can get them to just believe what you're saying, move them a little bit more towards gullibility, get them to do the call to action. But honestly, it's like the more curiosity and the more you emotionally compel them, the better, right? Now after that, after you have all of these things, like these 5 things done, right? You have the research, the big idea, the offer, the lead, and the copyboarding and the close, all of it written out. Now you want to sit down, you want to write your first draft. Let me turn the fan on real quick. It's getting quite hot in here because I am exuding a lot of value. So, I might sound a little bit arrogant when I say that, but if you rewatch this video, you'll see how true that statement actually is. Now, after you have this first draft, right? So you want to do something called ferocious copywriting. You don't want to just sit down and just be like, oh, I'm just going to write copy for like 3 hours and just, no. You want to attack the keyboard when you write it. You want to have this intensity. You want to make sure that when you write copy, you write it in this like high energy state. Because if you don't, like the way that you feel when you write your copy, that energy is going to transfuse itself into your copy. Might sound a little woo-woo, but it's true, like literally. If you're bored and you're like just chill and mellow when you're writing the copy, that's how people are going to feel when they read it. But if you're like amped up and you're just like really just attacking it, you have this like ferocious energy, you're going to catch people's attention way quicker. Here's another thing I learned. In the lead, with your hook and your headline and like getting people's attention, you want to like grab them by the throat and just like rip them out of their reality and just put them into your copy. Because if you don't do it that way, no one cares. Like people have the attention span of a goldfish. They're swiping like every 3 seconds. They're swiping from one thing to another. Literally, you need to like rip them out of their reality with power and put them into your copy. So if you're writing in a charged up state, like you're blasting like super hardcore dubstep or rock music, or you just have the same song playing on loop over and over and over again, like you're gonna be in a charged up state. Like, do this, right? So, bioenergetics. Here's something I learned from my mentor. You want to just like really like stand up before you sit down and write copy and just like do something ridiculous that's gonna put you in a state. Something I learned from Jason Capital is literally he'll just do this before he writes copy all the time. He'll just go, right? Do that enough times, it'll put you in a different state of mind, because you're just gonna stop caring. First of all, because you're just like, and you're just like, what am I doing right now? But what does this do? It changes your physiology. Like, you physically move yourself, or you just like jump up and down like this, like look like an idiot, just jump up and down and just let the energy move through your body. Now you're not going to feel so stifled. You're not going to feel like a brick. You're going to have energy moving through your body. Then blast some really good music, attack your keyboard. More intense, high-paced energy is flowing through you when you write your copy, right? Another thing is you don't want to just sit down and write for like 4 hours. You want to have blocks on, blocks off. So use timers, Pomodoro technique. Take a timer, 33 minutes on, 6 minutes off. So after you do the thing, you do the jumping, you go whatever, right? Whatever your thing is to like amp yourself up, bioenergetics, physiology, put yourself in a high energy state, blast your music, set a timer for 33 minutes, and for those 33 minutes, attack your keyboard and write copy as ferociously and as fast as you possibly can. Try and assemble all of this in one day and just really like intensely, fast-paced, aggressively, like make it happen. You want to be like lightning. Like, you want to be like lightning when you're writing copy, so the lightning transfuses itself into your copy, and when the person reads the copy, they get struck by lightning, and now they're electrified, and they just go wherever the electricity goes. It's a little abstract, but that's basically what you want to do with your copy, right? Now, make sure that when the timer goes off, immediately you stand up. Like, even if you're in the middle of writing a sentence or writing a word, the moment that timer goes off, stop, stand up, turn it off, set another timer for 6 minutes, and then just do something. Completely take your mind off the copy. Just do more bioenergetics if you want, right? Go get a snack, go outside, go take a walk, and then immediately, as soon as 6 minutes are done, come back, another 33 minutes on, write more copy. When that goes off, 6 minutes off. Just keep doing this as much as you possibly can. What you're gonna find is you're actually extremely productive, because during those 6 minutes, even if you try not to, all you can think about is the copy. Your subconscious is gonna come up with all these ideas because you created an open loop in your brain when you got up. Now there's a open loop because you're thinking about the copy that you didn't finish. You'll come up with the new ideas, you'll find new ways to write it, and next thing you know, 4 hours later, you've already gone through the whole thing and you didn't even realize it was 4 hours because you're so immersed, you're in a flow state. That's what I mean when I say ferocious copywriting. So you have all these blocks, right? You have the block of the idea, the offer, the headline, the copyboarding. You want to assemble the blocks together so that they all fit. It's like building blocks, it's like Legos. Because if you remember, at the beginning of the video, I said copy is not written, it is assembled. You are working with a series of building blocks to engineer and create this reality in which your prospect will live mentally while they read your copy. You also want to have ruthless self-editing, because the majority of the copy, majority of the magic in copywriting happens during the editing phase. When you assemble your first draft, you'll have like a decent foundation of what the copy should look like. And then you're just gonna edit, rewrite, cut, reshape, reword a lot of things, right? You wanna be able to kill your darlings, because you don't get points for creativity. Like, it doesn't matter, oh, I like this metaphor, I like this story, nobody cares. You don't get points for creativity. Either it sells or it doesn't, either it catches attention or it doesn't, right? So anything that doesn't make sense, anything that's confusing, unbelievable, or boring, even if you love it, cut it, kill it, stab it with a knife, burn it, set it on fire, just completely eliminate it, right? You also want to do cub review. This is basically, you're gonna be ruthless about this. You're gonna go to as many people as you possibly can. You're gonna show them the copy, and you're gonna say, tell me everywhere that it's confusing, unbelievable, or boring. Just point all of it out. Anything that they point out, you're either gonna cut it completely, or you're gonna reword it so that it's not confusing, so that it's not boring, and so that it is believable. If it's unbelievable, that either means that you need to have more proof, or you need to dial back the promise. generally, when you do this, when you write the first draft, you want to go as far on the polarized extreme as you possibly can. Like if I'm saying vaccines cause autism, you want to go on the side that like vaccines not only cause autism, but they literally pollute the earth with inferior life forms, and the entire government is in on this. That's why they're funding all this big pharma research to create vaccines that will create inferior life forms, because they want a slave colony that's going to pay taxes for them and replace everybody. Like, that's ridiculous, right? But create something that's ridiculous and extreme and just polarizing when you're writing your first draft, and then during the editing phase, dial it back to the extent of your proof. Let that sink in real quick, because that's very powerful, right? You don't want to just be like, oh, I can't say this, people are going to get offended. Like, think of it's like, how far can I possibly take this to the point where I will get death threats in the mail and like people will hate me and on Twitter and spam report me because I've just upset so many people, and it's extremely polarizing. Write that. That's what you're going to work with in your first draft. And then during the editing phase, when you're like rewriting things, take that extremely polarizing thing and dial that back to the limit of your proof. Like, the moment it stops being believable, that's where it shouldn't be. But make it as ridiculous as possible, and then just dial that back to the extent of your proof. It'll hit with way more impact than if you do it the other way. So yeah, and then when you're editing, you want to create more open loops, because the more open loops you create, the better. For every open loop you close, you should create 2 more. For example, Hugo Boss whiteboards, right? So if the open loop is like, I learned this one secret that made me better at presentation, then I close a loop with Hugo Boss whiteboards. So it's like, once I learned how to use Hugo Boss whiteboards to give better presentations, not only did I get a promotion at work, but I also was able to replace my wife with a better one. And the thing that I found out about women after I had the Hugo Boss whiteboard changed my life, and I will never be the same again. And it made me so much better at work. Plus, after my boss started working for me, he told me this one thing about being a boss that now that I have the Hugo Boss whiteboard, I can totally see is very true. Notice how I created 2 open loops. It's just very subtly planted there. So open loops are not supposed to be in your face. They're supposed to just subtly be planted. You're like, wait, what? What did you learn about women? What did your boss tell you about being a boss? How did Hugo Boss whiteboards fit into all this? Now I'm curious. Open loops, right? Create as many as possible. So that's basically copywriting 101. Basically, like research, big idea, offer, headline, copyboarding, first draft. Notice how my big idea went from whiteboards make you look more professional and authoritative to Hugo Boss whiteboards will get you a hotter girl, a better life, a better job, and your boss will start working for you. What's the mechanism? Hugo Boss whiteboards. The big idea evolved a lot just in the last 30 minutes, because as I flesh out more of the copy, the big idea also fleshes itself out. That's going to be normal. Expect that to happen. Copywriting is amazing because it's the alchemy of ideas, basically. Let's go over some definitions in case I didn't get anything. So villains, we already know that. Problems catch more attention than promises. Also, it has this subconscious hero positioning, because if this thing is the villain, the opposite of it is naturally the hero. If PowerPoint presentations are the villain, whiteboard presentations are the hero. If business coaches are the villain, copywriters are the hero. So on and so forth, right? Central thesis, mechanism, we already went over that. Open loops, we already went over that. Makes your brain itch, creates curiosity. OCPB, this is copywriting. Cub review, be ruthless with this. And then the value equation. Oh yeah, this is good. I got this from Alex Hormozy. So when you're creating the offer, use the value equation. Basically, dream outcome times perceived likelihood of achievement divided by time delay and times effort and sacrifice. You want to make the top as big as possible and the bottom as small as possible. So if I'm just like, Hugo Boss whiteboards will make you richer, hotter, and happier, right? Dream outcome, better wife, better life, better job, more money. Perceived likelihood of achievement. That doesn't seem very likely. Fred, the corporate professional, doesn't really think that that's that likely. But if you make it, it's like all you have to do is give a few presentations on the whiteboard to the right people, and then they will naturally like you and they'll promote you, which will give you a better job, which will give you more money, which will naturally attract better women, and you'll have a better life. Now that makes a little bit more sense. And now the dream outcome and the perceived likelihood of achievement is higher. Plus, this can be done in as little as 1 month versus 1 year. oh, if you work really hard, you'll get a promotion next year, versus you give the right presentations to the right people, get a better life, better wife, better job, more money, and it can happen literally next month. When the vice president of your company comes to give a tour, you can just say, sir, may I have 5 minutes of your attention? I'd like to show you something real quick, and I believe that it will bring a lot of revenue to this company, and if you don't like it, I'll pay you $100 for your time. You have his attention for 5 minutes, you give him the whiteboard presentation, right? Effort and sacrifice, not really that much. What do you lose? Worst case scenario, you lose $100. Best case scenario, you get the best life of your entire dreams. Effort and sacrifice. All you have to do is give a presentation on the whiteboard. All you have to do is write stuff on the whiteboard. Virtually no effort, literally no sacrifice. Worst case scenario, you sacrifice $100 if you do it this way, right? Very low time delay, very low effort sacrifice, high dream outcome, high perceived likelihood of achievement. Now that hits with impact versus be more professional with a whiteboard versus better life, better wife, better job, more money in 1 month because the vice president of your company gave you 5 minutes and loved your presentation and promoted you. And if he doesn't, you just pay him $100, which you probably won't even want because he's the vice president and doesn't really care anyways. Now that offer hits with way more impact. So that's a little masterclass on copywriting. I know that hit a lot of topics, but I hope that was very helpful to you. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. I will answer them. Otherwise, subscribe, like, comments. Have a great rest of your day. Ciao.